At the beginning of this story, we see a princess speaking to someone, saying that she didn't know the tornado that occurred last year had caused so much damage. Suddenly, two people arrive and tell the princess that they have found a small village nearby, and if they ask, they might be able to get a place to stay for the night. However, the princess replies that if they force their way in, it could trouble the villagers, and she doesn't mind camping outside. After that, we see them in a mysterious place where the princess says, "This place is good enough for the night." But the princess has already realized that this place is an ancient relic from the Asgardian era. That night, they spend time observing the ancient relic. In the next scene, we see a very beautiful place. There, an announcer informs the people, "Attention, please. Anyone who wishes to try the secret sword during the sword trial festival, please register at the sacred temple." Suddenly, a warrior arrives and tells the announcer to be quiet, then says, "The princess is looking for you. I'll take over this duty here." In the next scene, the princess is talking to Claim, saying that Professor Drake has informed her that a strange cloud or mist has been spotted. It seems that neither rain nor medicine has any effect on it, and the mist stays in the sky. Ireland has seen many abnormal phenomena in recent years, which have caused great losses to crops. I want you to investigate it. Are there any reports of health problems? After agreeing, he leaves. The scene then shifts to Professor Drake's lab, where the princess is observing the clouds, saying, "This mist is getting thicker. What does this mean?" Hearing that, Professor Drake responds, "I'm not sure, but I think this mist is becoming more dangerous and frightening. It could be a sign of a terrible event to come." The princess then says, "Can you go to Greel and find Claim?" A few days later, the princess is seen leaving, saying, "They've been gone for quite some time. I expect it will take about 2 more weeks." Suddenly, they are attacked by some assassins. A fight between the assassins and the warriors ensues. Meanwhile, the princess is also attacked by an assassin, but she easily avoids it. However, the assassin is no ordinary fighter, as he quickly pulls out his legendary spear. Seeing this, the assassin also attacks with his kunai, which the princess blocks with her spear. The assassin stares at her in awe, then strikes with a dagger, triggering an intense battle between the two. However, in the middle of the fight, the princess manages to shatter his mask and nearly kill him, but suddenly she hears a voice say, "You won't be able to defeat him." The assassin then says, "You're indeed strong, princess." After that, he transforms into a demon, and everything happens so fast. The voice then says, "Why didn't you kill him? You could have done it easily." In the next scene, the princess's teacher says, "Do you want to go to Greel?" Hearing this, the princess replies, "I'm worried about Claim." Then her teacher explains, "If anyone should go, it's me, because he is my student." Upon hearing this, the princess says, "Teacher, you must continue preparing for the Secret Sword Festival." Hearing this, her teacher asks, "Why are you so focused on the festival? Do you really believe someone will be able to draw that sword?" The princess then explains, "The person who can draw the sacred sword kept by the Lady of the Lake will stand apart. But that might just be a legend. I just want this land to remain prosperous for a long time." In the next scene, a sick man says, "Miss Claim has been observing our city, and she said she's heading to the northern forest." Then the princess asks, "The northern forest? Isn't there a mist there? Do you know what the mist is?" The man replies, "I don't know. Before we realized what was happening, the mist grew larger and kept expanding. We sent people to investigate, but nothing went well." Then, we see a scene where the princess, while searching for Claim, finds herself near the mist. But the mist starts acting strangely, becoming more dangerous, so the princess decides to get everyone out. On the other hand, the mist begins to destroy the place, and even Professor Drake, who is researching indoors, sees something strange in front of him and collects it in a tube, but the substance immediately turns into darkness. After that, we see Claim and the princess being chased by the mist, which has become so dangerous that it destroys everything in its path. Then, we see the professor startled by an eye staring at him, but the eye kills him with darkness. Meanwhile, the mist becomes more hazardous, and some people are dragged into it. Suddenly, a girl appears and says, "I will open the case gate with you." But both of them are already being pulled inside. However, the girl quickly gets ahead of them and attacks them with her magic. They try to dodge and escape, but they can't see anything. In the following scene, a demon laughs and says, "Interesting." He approaches them quickly, and a battle begins between the demon and the girl. The demon uses his power to block the girl's attack, laughing evilly while destroying the girl's fire tornado. At the same time, the ground starts to crack, causing Claim to fall, but the princess manages to survive. The evil girl then leaves, while the princess cries, thinking Claim has died. The demon watches the situation. Next, we see a night scene where we learn that most of the place has been destroyed, and the princess also sees the damage. She is deeply distressed because her friends have died, but when she sees a girl in front of her, she is overjoyed. However, her happiness doesn't last long, as something strange begins to happen again. The mist reappears and swallows the girl right in front of the princess. Inside the mist, a fire dragon approaches the princess. The scene then cuts off, and we see the place where the mist has destroyed everything. The princess arrives there, and it starts raining. On the other side, a small creature is watching her as she enters and says, "The hero of the sacred sword." This is the image of the great separation. She begins to examine the image closely, along with the small creature. The princess takes out a book titled The Legend of the Shepherd and starts reading it. It describes the Seraphim capital, a sacred place higher than the highest peak. Its gates are tightly locked and only open for those who will guide the human world. The Seraphim came to Earth using their power to bring enlightenment and free the world from darkness. However, the little creature shouts, "Hey, look at me, I'm here." But the princess cannot see him. Meanwhile, many insects begin to approach. Seeing this, the little creature tries to warn, "Hey, there's danger. The insects are coming toward us." But the princess can neither see nor hear him. So, the little creature uses his power to protect her from the insects. At the same time, the princess realizes that there is danger around her. The little creature struggles to keep the insects from reaching the princess, even as they keep coming from all directions. Finally, the princess panics and falls into the lake. However, while swimming, she reached a different place. There, she kept walking until she arrived at a new area, where she saw the mark of the Seraphim. After that, a large stone began to shift, opening a path, then stopped and activated a small gate. The princess entered the gate. The scene then shifted to our main protagonist, who was running and jumping around. In front of him, he saw a large flying ruin and said, "Wow, this is amazing, a ruin this big." At that moment, Micleo arrived and said, "Why are you always acting so recklessly? You need to be more careful since you are just a regular human. If you fall, it could end badly for you." However, the protagonist felt grateful and said he liked this castle. In the next scene, Micleo mentioned that the elders must know about this ruin. They know that we love exploring ruins. Suddenly, Sori saw something and approached it. He placed his aura over a stone, and as he did, a strange place appeared before them. Seeing this, Micleo said, "This is the gleam illusion. Your vision is quite sharp, so what are we going to do now?" Sori replied, "Of course, we are going to explore it." However, their grandfather arrived and forbade them from going there. He explained that the area had been sealed for a long time, so they couldn't go there. No searching, no investigation, understood? On the other hand, Micleo wondered, why doesn't Gleam want us to enter the ruin? Hearing this, Sori answered, "Look, Micleo, this is the chapter of arrival. In the age of the gods, darkness covered the world, and that's when the Seraphim came and brought light back to the world. The Seraphim then spread to other parts of the world to sustain life. One of these places was the capital of the Seraphim." Hearing this, Micleo asked, "Wait, are you saying the ruin we saw today is the capital of the Seraphim?" After that, Sori took out a book and said that the people in the Seraphim capital began to worship the Seraphim. Among them, only the gifted were allowed to speak with the Seraphim. Then Sori explained that the Seraphim gave blessings to humans, and the gifted were able to form bonds with the Seraphim. A bridge was then formed leading to the Seraphim capital. Mikleo then commented that Sori really liked the Celestium records, and Sori responded, "Of course. This book explains a lot, and I'm sure there's a strong chance that this ruin is the Seraphim capital." After the scene in the capital, the scene shifted to a ruin where the princess was looking for a way out. She appeared very frightened and screamed loudly. At the same time, Sori entered the ruin and looked very excited when he arrived. However, he used a rope to cross to the other side. After successfully entering, he saw an image that was exactly like the one in his favorite book. He then said, "The split sword floats like a hero." That's when he saw a gauntlet on a statue there. After taking the gauntlet, he said, "This path belongs to the split sword." But then Mikleo took the gauntlet and said, "This time, you've beaten me." After the gauntlet was taken, the weather began to worsen and Sori said, "This doesn't feel like a natural change." Shortly after, the princess also appeared. On the other side, we see Generous, who is the grandfather of both of them, speaking with someone. He said, "There are people causing trouble outside my territory. Have Sori and Mr. Cleo returned yet?" However, the person he was talking to said no. Then Generous said, "I think the mysteries that appear before them always capture their attention, but I will stay here." After that, Kim set out to find them. In the next scene, the princess said, "Is this a temple?" Then she began to walk forward but was attacked from above. Even so, the princess managed to dodge, but the ground she was standing on cracked, and she fell unconscious. The statue there also stopped moving. After that, Generous said, "If anyone enters my territory, they will face my wrath." This shows that what happened to the princess was the result of Generous actions. In the next scene, Sori and his friend are running. Sori says, "It's almost like the ruins are calling the lightning." Then, lightning strikes them, destroying part of the area, but the two of them manage to survive. However, the ground beneath them begins to collapse, and they start to fall. As they fall, Windbinds run, while Mikleo remains calm. Then Mikleo uses his magic and says, "Heavenly Twin Strike." Seeing his magic, Sori shouts, "Stop! Stop! Don't!" But it's already too late. Even so, both of them eventually survive and see a large hole outside. As they look around, they find the princess. Sori says, "Is that a human? We have to help her." Hearing this, Mikleo replies, "Didn't your grandfather tell you to stay away from humans?" Sori responds, "I can't just leave her. She might still be alive." Hearing that, Mikleo says, "All right, I'll help as much as I can." But the path to the princess is already destroyed. Sori then uses his rope, hooks it somewhere, and brings Mikleo across. However, their challenges are not over yet, as the bridge there is also damaged. Mikleo then uses his ice power to create an ice bridge, and finally, they reach the princess. Sori starts to lift the princess, and she eventually opens her eyes. Sori says to Mikleo, "She seems fine." Then he asks the princess, "Can you stand?" The princess stands up without help and says, "Sorry, thank you for the trouble." Then she asks, "What's your name?" Sori answers, "My name is Run." On the other hand, the princess asks Run, "Are you the split sword?" Hearing this, Sori is very surprised and says, "No, I'm just a normal human, and you're human too, right? This is the first time I've seen a human here." The princess explains, "In this place, there is a temple known as the capital of the Seraphim. If that's the case, there shouldn't be a split sword here, right?" However, Sori disagrees because he didn't find anyone there, except for an image that resembled the split sword. Holy raises his sword, and upon hearing this, the princess says it seems that in the end, it is just a legend, and the world can no longer be saved. In the next scene, Mikleo says, "Letting someone in will cause you a lot of trouble," and Sori replies, "No matter what happens, I can't ignore someone in need of help." Hearing this, Mikleo says, "Don't you think it's strange? She didn't even tell you her name." Then Sori explains, "Maybe she has her reasons, but she doesn't seem like a bad person." However, Mikleo knows that now they will have to face the wrath of his grandfather. Then, we see a scene outside where Sori tells the princess, "Gods, demons, humans, and helpers use fear to control those supernatural beings." Let's just call them Seraphim. Hearing this, the princess says, "It seems you've also read Celathin's records. Tell me, from which village do you come, and what is its name?" Then Sori answers that he comes from the village of Alicia. At that moment, Mikleo says, "I'll report this to grandfather." Just then, many people gather there, and the princess asks, "Seraphim, if you are here, please listen to what I have to say. As foretold, when the world is engulfed in darkness, you will be needed to save the world. Seraphim, please offer your help, but answer my question first." At that moment, one of Sori's companions says, "Run, before calling a disaster. We must leave this place." On the other hand, Generous angrily says, "Fool, why did you bring a human here?" Mikleo explains, "Grandfather, you promised to listen to Sori's agreement." Hearing this, Generous says, "Run? You know why you broke the rules, but what you've done can't be undone. However, you must send her back to the lower world for the peace of everyone living here. Humans only bring disaster to our land. You've spent a long time with us, gaining the ability to see and talk to us, something no ordinary human can do. You must understand this." Then Sori replies, "So why did you give me the Celathin records, grandfather? In that book, it said that Seraphim and humans once lived happily together. Besides, they believed in the Seraphim." Then, we see a scene outside where Mikleo is waiting for Sori. At that moment, Mikleo says to Sori, "Grandfather sent a message. It's valuable to know when humans cause disasters. However, doing something or causing a disaster is also foolish. So I will wait until he's ready to leave." Hearing this, Sori is very happy and thanks him, but Mikleo reflects for a moment, recalling that Generous once said to him, "I know Mikleo, he's honest, that's why I'm among the people." In the next scene, Sori is hunting wild boar, and seeing this, the princess says, "So, have you lived your whole life like this?" Sori nods in agreement, and someone overhears their conversation, but before the princess notices, the person leaves. In the following scene, Sori is reading Celathin's notes, while on the other side, the princess is asleep. Then, the princess dreams of a fog dragon approaching her, and she wakes up immediately. Sori realizes this and asks, "Are you feeling better now?" The princess nods in agreement, but she notices the seal-thin notes in Sori's hands. Seeing this, Sori explains, "These are Celathin's notes. I've been reading them over and over since I was a child." Then, the princess starts talking about herself. "My dream is to explore the world and see Russia. Most readers of Celathin's notes say the same, and I'm just one of them. But the world is not in a condition that allows for travel. The world has faced disasters beyond comprehension in recent times. I also experienced a terrible disaster that I still find hard to believe to this day. The memory of that day is still fresh in my mind." Hearing this, Sori says, "When darkness engulfs the world, a separate will be called to bring light." From this, it's clear that you've come looking for separate, right? When Sori agrees, the princess replies, "Yes, the legend is the only thing I have left. However, when I came here, I learned that legends are just fairy tales." After that, the princess cries outside because the hope she held no longer exists in this world. Janice sees her crying, and Sori returns to Mikleo's house and says, "Mikleo, please come home with me, because the girl hasn't been found." Then they both start searching for her. After some time, Sori finds the princess sleeping, holding Janice's blanket. Then, the scene shifts to Russia, where Sori shows the place to the princess, including a picture of Separate. Sori says, "Who would leave their path just to build something impressive in the sky for a fairy tale?" There's no mention of the sacred temple here. At that moment, Sori shows his glove to the princess, who is shocked because it bears the mark of Separate. Sori explains that Separate is real, not just a story. Although she nearly falls from her confusion, she manages to steady herself and says, "If the world below is truly sinking into darkness like you say, Separate will come." "I know that." Hearing this, the princess asks, "Do you believe in Celathin's notes?" Sori responds, "Yes, I believe. My dream is to let humans and Seraphim live happily together again. I truly believe a great world is coming. I think you should take this The princess accepts the glove. The day comes when the princess has to return to her homeland. However, before leaving, the princess introduces herself as Elisa and says, "In my land, the separate trials begin. If you're interested, try it." She also returns the glove, as it belongs to Sori. After Elisa leaves, Janice senses someone approaching. Then he says to them, "Someone has attacked our domain." Then, we see a demon where Mikleo and Sori arrive. They see that the demon is strangling Mazo. A battle begins between them. The demon is very fast, allowing him to dominate the fight. The demon attacks Sori with a brutal strike, but Sori manages to block it with his sword. With an evil laugh, the demon attacks again. But this time Mikleo retaliates with his magic, accompanied by an ice sword strike. Although the demon dodges, he prepares to counterattack, but Sori manages to strike him in time. However, the demon rises again. Seeing this, Sori becomes enraged and delivers a deadly strike, throwing the demon off a cliff. But strangely, the demon is completely unharmed. On the other hand, Janice dramatically appears and says, "Leave here, or I won't let you live." The demon replies, "It seems I don't need to waste time with you all." Then, he leaves. After the demon departs, Sori says to his grandfather, "I'm sorry, I brought Elisa, and now this happened." Janice replies, "Perhaps by keeping the girl away, the demon couldn't enter this territory. But this is a selfish thought, only for our own benefit. Safety is the most important thing in this area. The peace here is connected to the outside world, and we can't ignore it, asterisk asterisk." In the next scene, Sori runs quickly toward Elisa because he senses she is in great danger. However, as he approaches, he apologizes for leaving on his own without permission. But Mikleo also knows about it, and perhaps even Generous is aware too. Nevertheless, Mikleo is ready to go with him. In the following scene, the two of them arrive in the underworld. From here, a new journey in this story will begin. Then, we see him running to a place and enjoying the beautiful view of the kingdom. At that moment, Sori says, "This must be the town where the Lady of the Lake lives." After that, Sori arrives at the entrance gate where many people have gathered to witness the Holy Sword Festival. He starts looking for someone, and a girl there says, "This is a security checkpoint, and it seems you're not a resident of this town. But you're here for the Holy Sword Festival, aren't you? You should go in quickly because the gate will be closing soon. But do you have an entry permit?" Sori refuses, and the girl says, "No permit? Well, they'll still let you in, but it will take some time. However, there is another way. We are protected by the Free Merchants Agreement because we have sparrow feathers. We can enter any town freely, but you have to pay 500 gold coins. You know, nothing is free." Then Mikleo adds, "My grandfather once said that humans always need money." The girl then says, "Don't tell me you don't have any money." Hearing this, Sori refuses again. The girl, in disbelief, checks her bag. Inside, she finds a dagger, but Sori asks her to return it. After agreeing, she hands the dagger back. Although when she touches it, she feels something strange. She then says, "This dagger is weird, but I'll help you out. Just consider yourself in my debt." Next, we see a scene in a bustling city. Rosalia says, "So, how was your first trip to the Lady of the Lake?" Sori responds, "I've heard this city called the Water City, but this far exceeds my imagination." Rosalia adds, "This is the Holy Sword Festival. That's why so many people are here." Then, looking at her companions, she says, "Oops, I have to go. I almost forgot we are here on business. Enjoy the festival." After that, Mikleo says, "Run, we have to start looking for Elisa right away." But suddenly, he feels something strange and says, "The Lady of the Lake is filled with malevolence." Malevolence means negative energy generated by humans. In the next scene, they are resting when they spot DYM. Sori starts chasing him, but DYM has incredible strength that allows him to jump very high. Sori doesn't want to be outdone and tries to jump like DYM. Although he succeeds, his landing isn't perfect. He then asks, "Why are you chasing Elisa? You even attacked Celestia to get close to her." DYM replies, "I had no intention of attacking Princess Elisa." Sori says, "Then why are you here?" DYM responds, "Because I like the princess. Being near her must give me a great view. Just because I stopped chasing her doesn't mean no one else will. The contract is still active. The target is someone from Esnus. The contracted person won't back down until it's completed. After that, DYM leaves." Meanwhile, a man speaks to his soldiers. "I didn't realize the princess could be so foolish. We should have let the assassin attack us first before using our strength." From here, we know his intentions toward Elisa are not good. Then, the scene shifts to where the Holy Sword Festival is about to begin. And there, an assassin has also come to kill the princess. Beside him, there is a beautiful girl resting. After that, a soldier arrives to pull a separate sword, but the soldier gives it his all. As he pulls the sword, the girl suddenly awakens, sensing a very strong evil aura around her. We also see a lot of evil aura there, but the soldier fails to pull the sword. On the other hand, Sori says that if the sword is pulled, we will be separated, meaning we will be accepted by that girl. She will accept the person worthy of the separate sword. Then, it's the second soldier's turn to try, but he can't even move the sword. At that moment, Elisa comes and says, "First, I would like to appreciate the presence of the 10 soldiers here and everyone participating in this festival. Unfortunately, during this separate sword festival, many will not be able to become separate. According to legend, the separate is a protector who works with the seraphim to cleanse the world of evil aura. However, I'm not holding this holy sword festival because I blindly trust the legend. Our country, Eland, and our neighboring country, Rolus, are in a very tense situation. Some people believe this festival is a disaster to boost morale before a battle. However, I disagree. The legend also says that humans can see and live with the seraphim. I interpret it as a sign that we should coexist with our neighbors, not fight against them. I believe, especially after the recent disaster, we must be brave. Even if Rolus decides to attack us, we should not strike first. We must wait until they attack us." After saying that, the girl informed us that the evil aura came from fear, negative emotions, and that it generated even more evil aura. Afterward, darkness began to spread over Lady Lake, and the flames there started to die out. Slowly, the darkness spread throughout the area, and a strange creature began to take form. Sori told us that the creature was a Hellion, which then transformed into a giant dragon. The Hellion started destroying the surrounding places and then attacked the sword, but the sword used its energy to push the Hellion away. However, after seeing the dragon, Sori quickly ran towards Elisa. At the same time, the Hellion attacked Run, causing him to fall right beside Elisa. Elisa was very shocked to see Sori there. After that, Sori moved towards Lady Lake and spoke, but the girl asked, "Who are you?" Hearing this, Sori replied, "My name is Run." "Lady Lake, can't you do anything about that Hellion?" Then Lady Lake responded, "Only separate can purify the Hellion." On the other side, an assassin attacked the princess, and a fight broke out between them. Seeing the fight, Sori almost went to help, but Elisa stopped him and said, "Don't worry about me. You're needed to handle this situation. Even though I can't do it, I know you can." After hearing this, Sori went to draw the sacred sword. When he touched the sword, time seemed to stop, and Lady Lake, named Layla, said, "Becoming my sword means you must bear the burden of separate." After that, he successfully drew the sword, and the place returned to normal. Sori then transformed and attacked the Hellion with a series of slashes. As a result of the attack, the Hellion was severely wounded, and Mikleo was shocked to see Sori's new form. However, Sori said, "Fathmas Mioma, that is your name." Then Layla replied, "Yes, that is indeed my name. Now, use the power within you. Run. Unleash the true strength of separate." With full power, he launched an attack, and with just one dangerous strike, Hellion melted. His attack was so brutal that the area was utterly destroyed. After Helion's death, all eyes remained fixed on Sori. Even the evil beings started leaving after seeing Sori, but having released too much energy, Sori became exhausted and collapsed. Then, the scene shifted to a bedroom where Sori woke up, but he didn't know what had happened to him. Mikleo then told him that he had been feverish for 3 days. At that moment, Layla said this happened because Sari had become her vassal.